right. So let's do a little bit of breathing this morning. If you want to, yeah. Everybody's kind of inhaling and exhaling. So come right up to the front edge of your chair. Oh, and phones. Could everybody just check pockets, pocketbooks, all that kind of stuff? Just make sure your phones are off. I'll give that a second. And once you're all finished with your technology, if you can sit up, close your eyes, and that way I'll know everybody's ready. So when I see all the eyes closed, I'll know we can start. And just begin to notice your breathing. Just watch the way air is moving in and out of your body. And if you can breathe in and out through your nose, that's a more efficient way for your body to process the breathing process. And as you're inhaling and exhaling through your nose, can you notice the temperature of the air? And notice how quickly or slowly you're breathing. How shallow or deep your breath is. And notice all the distraction, right? Notice all that distraction. And those are our little angels in the kitchen. They feed people. So it's always good to just remember when you hear that joy coming from the kitchen, it's because they're feeding people. So going back to your breath and noticing that. And noticing how you can be aware of distractions and sounds and noises and your breathing simultaneously. It's easy to practice breathing and meditation and yoga when you live in the mountain. It's a lot harder to practice in real life. And we're in real life. So now begin to deepen your breath so that as you breathe in, you feel your body expanding. And this could be in your rib cage, it could be in your belly, in your waist, the back of the body. Just breathe in deeply enough that you can feel somewhere in your torso expand. And breathe out completely enough that you feel somewhere in your torso contract. So the breathing in gives you that expansive feeling, and the breathing out gives you that contractive feeling. And then let's see if we can add a count to the breath. So as you breathe in, see if you can slowly count to 4, and as you breathe out, also slowly count to 4. Breathing in to 4 and out to 4. And the next time that you breathe into that count of 4, I'm going to ask you to hold your breath at the top of the inhalation for a count of 4. And then after you breathe out for a count of 4, you're going to hold your breath out for a count of 4. So you might envision this like a box, this breathing method. So we're breathing in for 4, holding for 4, out for 4, and then holding again for 4. So wherever you are in the cycle, gently, slowly counting to 4 and trying to make that even so that it's like a box. And recognize that when you do this, you're really seeing how different the inhalation is from the exhalation. We sometimes feel like the breath is all one. There's no way to distinguish breathing in and breathing out. And so putting in these little pauses helps us to really distinguish that there's an inhalation part, there's an exhalation part, and then there's a pausing part. And the next time that you take a deep breath in, I'm going to ask you to hold your breath a little longer than 4. Hold until you feel like you need to exhale, and that will be different for everybody. And when you feel that need to exhale get really strong, you can let your breath out with a sigh. And then go back to your natural breath, just breathing in and out through your nose. Noticing your presence and awareness. And let your eyes gently open. Good. All right, let's start with a little bit of movement for the neck. So just notice how your neck is feeling this morning. Just kind of move your head a little from side to side. Doesn't matter what direction you're moving in. There's no prescription here. It's just investigating. Where do you feel tight in your neck? Where do you feel at ease in your neck? Can you feel it going down into your back or into your chest? What about into your shoulders or arms? And then if you notice a particular spot, when you have your head in a particular position, that's a little more tender or a little more in your awareness, hold it there. And then see if you can relax and breathe into that position. So we're just investigating positions that might be a little more stressful in the body, a little more tension in the muscles. I'm just kind of holding in that position without creating more tension, and trying to relax into that position by breathing a little more deeply. And when you feel ready, investigate another position for your head that maybe is creating a little more tension. And when you find that position, again, just kind of hold, relax into it, and let your breath deepen. And the more you can let your breath deepen and slow, the more you'll be able to relax into that position. And then circle around a little bit, investigate one more position, see if there's one more. Maybe if you're lucky, you only have 2. Most of us will have 3 or more. Find that next position. Just kind of hold your head in that position. Relax into it as you deepen your breath. And then you can just bring your head back to a neutral position and start to roll your shoulders forward, up, back, and around a little bit. And notice if you hear noise in there. Maybe one shoulder's more noisy than the other. Maybe they're both pretty noisy. Breathing in, breathing out. Reverse the direction of your shoulder rolls. So whatever direction you were going in, just go in the opposite. And then take just your right shoulder and roll that. Just the right one. And just the left one. Nice and slow. Good. And then bring both shoulders up toward your ears. Really squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Take a deep breath in and let it out with a sigh as you relax your shoulders. And again, we're going to squeeze the shoulders up, breathing in and breathing out. Squeeze as hard as you can. Take a really deep breath in and then let it all out. And one more time, bringing the shoulders up, squeezing, breathing in and breathing out. Don't hold your breath here. Keep breathing. And then take a really deep breath in and let it all out as you drop your shoulders. Good. Just notice what your shoulders feel like right now. And then we're going to bring the arms out to the sides, palms are up and hands are just a little bit below your shoulders, right? So you don't want your arms way up here. You want to have them a little bit below your shoulders. So really engage the muscles here. These are your biceps muscles in those upper arms, and we're just going to tap the shoulders and then extend really slowly, right? So keeping these muscles nice and strong the whole time you're doing it, because you can do it without really tightening those muscles, or you can do it by really tightening the muscles. Notice if you're clenching your jaw, or if you're trying to use your neck muscles to do this. See if you can relax that. We're trying to use these biceps muscles right there, right? Okay, next time you tap your shoulders, we're going to hold here, and then we're going to take the arms up overhead. And then come all the way down and squeeze your shoulder blades together as if you could bring your elbows to touch behind your back. Coming up, press, breathing in, breathing out. Squeeze the shoulder blades together, good. And then press, good. So a couple more. So we're working muscles in the shoulders, the chest, and the back, and this affects the muscles in the neck. Good. And one more time. We're going to finish with the arms down, squeezing those shoulder blades together, right? So squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And then we're going to press forward with the hands. And as you press forward with the hands, round through your upper back. It's like you're trying to take your shoulder blades off your back. And then we're going to pull back and squeeze those shoulder blades together. Okay, so exhale as you come forward. You could even drop your chin if you want. Inhale as you pull back. Exhale as you come forward. Try not to do this movement from your lower back, right? So if you find that you're really arching your whole back like this, see if you can isolate it to just the upper part of the spine, right? Good. Breathing in and breathing out. That looks great, everybody. Couple more. Excellent. And then let your hands rest on your lap. Close your eyes for a moment. Big breath in, let it out with a sigh. Notice your back and chest. Notice your shoulders and your arms, your elbows. You can let your eyes open, take your hands off your lap, and we'll start to circle the wrists a little bit. So we're working a little backwards today from how we usually do it. So we started with the shoulders, the chest, the back, because there's no real prescription, right? And then reverse direction. Good. Notice any noise in there. Wrists can be snappy. So oh, right on cue. That was great. Thank you. All right, and then we'll take the hands out in front. So now we're stretching the muscles here in the under part of the arm, right? And then we're going to bring the fingers down toward the floor. Like you could bring your fingers to your elbows this way, right? So we're going up and down. Now watch that your shoulders don't start to creep up around your ears, so we want to relax the shoulders. This is all about the wrists. Good. Okay. Okay, now relax your elbows a little bit, and we're going to make like little fists, and we're going to take the fists and bring the knuckle side of your hands down toward your elbow like that, right? So that should be a little bit of a stress on the muscles here in the wrist and the forearm. We're going to hold in this position. Okay, so not that position, this position. So I'll go aside. So now what we're going to do is we're going to extend the arms, keep pulling the knuckles toward the elbows, and then come back up. So keep pulling the knuckles toward the elbows. Good. Excellent. So we should be feeling a little bit of a stretch here, right? Everybody feeling something? Good. Okay. So the next time you come forward, keep your fists, light fists, and we're going to come up. And then go down, come back. Good. So notice if you've stopped breathing, because this is a weird movement, right? Unless you do this all the time. Any motorcycle riders? Ex-motorcycle riders? There you go, yeah. So doing this movement, we're working the muscles that go from the arm into the hand. We're getting some of the muscles around the elbow. We're working some of the nerves. So you have a lot of nerves that go into your hands too. Just a couple more of these. Good. Okay, and then let's just kind of shake things out a little bit. And we're going to stretch the wrist. So take your right hand forward, pull back on your fingers. So if your elbow is straight, you're going to feel a little more of a stretch that goes all the way up the arm. If your elbow is bent, you might feel a little more of the stretch here in the palm of the hand and down into the wrist. So play with that. So extend your elbow and then give it a little bit of a bend. You don't want to have it really bent because then you won't feel anything, but just a little bit of a bend. Notice if you're trying to get out of the stretch by having your shoulder up to your ear, right? Because that can change everything. So we're just kind of experimenting. Where do you get the most sensation? Right? So for me, with my elbow straight, I have way more sensation because I got a lot going on in my upper arm. For somebody else, it might be, wow, when the elbow's a little bit bent, I feel it more in my wrist and my forearm, and that's where I need it. So I'm going to ask you to find your spot of most sensation, your position where you have most sensation, and hold. Okay? So maybe go back and forth a couple of times, so I'm not sure. Okay, I'll kind of stick with this position. And as you're here, you could even close your eyes if you wanted to. But begin to deepen your breathing as you're holding. And notice, what do you feel? How is your breath affecting what you feel? Are you pulling too hard on your fingers? Are you pulling not hard enough? Do you have all the fingers, or has that little finger escaped? Can you get them all in there, all 4 of them? And then relax that. Circle both wrists a little bit here. Notice what they feel like. And then go to the other side. So left side, we're just going to extend out, right? Pull back on all fingers, right? So watch that this shoulder doesn't come way up. We want to have the shoulder down, so your hand should be lower than your shoulder. Good. And then explore on this side. A little bend to the elbow, a little straighten of the elbow. So don't bend it a lot. You just want to bend just a tiny bit. Because if you bend a lot, you take all the stretch out. So just go back and forth and notice on this side. Does a straight arm give you more sensation? Does a little bend in the elbow give you more sensation? Are you able to breathe smoothly and evenly? Or is your breath a little choppy? And notice if it's different on this side. So find that sweet spot, find the position that gives you the most sensation and hold there. Again, if you want, you can close your eyes as you deepen your breathing and just feel. And you can modulate this. You can pull back harder on your fingers. You can let go a little bit on your fingers so you're not pulling back as hard. The sensation might get to be really intense at some point, and it might start to back off at some point. So breathing in, breathing out, that relaxes your nervous system, that relaxes your body so that you can receive whatever you're getting from this stretch. Good. And then release that and circle both wrists around again. Great. All right, and then we'll go right to the fingers. So extend all your fingers. Now look down at your hands. Look at all your fingers. And look at the space between your fingers. Do you have space between all your fingers? And then make a little fist. So you don't want to squeeze too hard, but make a little fist. And just notice, are the knuckles white? Are they red? Are they red and white? Right? So there's all kinds of things. Turn your fists over. Keep your fingers in. Turn your fists over and look at your fingers. Same thing. Are they white? Are they red? Are they red and white? Right? Good. And then turn back over and we're just going to extend and look at the hands again and notice that the white and the red change, right? Turn your palm over. Same thing. So we're going to do some extending and bending. We're going to make fists and extend. And I want you to just look at your hands and notice what happens when you make a fist and then when you don't. Right? So when you make a fist, notice those places that get white, and you can squeeze really hard as is comfortable, that doesn't cause you pain, right? So you don't want to squeeze if it's causing pain. And notice the places where it turns white, that's restrictive, that's where the blood flow is getting restricted, right? And if you think about what's happening in your hands, happens in all of your body. So when you're tense, your shoulders, your back, your legs, your hips, whatever it is, when you're tense like that, the blood flow gets restricted in those areas. And so if we could relax the body the same way that we relax the fists, right? Relaxing the hands. That helps the blood flow return. All right, just one more of these, just kind of in and out. And then let your hands rest on your lap. And now I'm going to ask you all to close your eyes. And I want you to just notice what you feel in your fingers. So we did that exercise of creating tension by squeezing and then actually creating tension by extending really strongly. And now what do you notice in your fingers? What do you notice in your hands? The sensation of blood flow can be a little different for each of us. It might feel like a tingling, or it might feel like a warmth. It might feel like your hands are bigger or your fingers feel bigger, more expanded. You might be more aware of the space between your fingers. You might be aware of the contact between your hands and your lap and the contact of the backs of your hands and the room temperature air. And let your eyes gently open. So we're going to take kind of that same principle of creating restriction and then letting that restriction go. We're going to take that and apply it to the neck and shoulders a little bit. So I'm going to ask you to take your chin right down to the little notch between your collarbones, right? So everybody's got that little notch right in there. So it's not bringing your nose down toward your navel, so you're not actually rounding your spine. You're just trying to bring your chin down to that notch. It's almost like you're pressing your chin back and down. And then relax, right? So we're going to do that several times, and we're going to do that with breath. So again, tuck your chin into your little notch and relax. And breathe as you're doing this. So just continue to tuck and relax. Now, some people are going to feel, when they tuck the chin in, they're going to feel a real restriction in the front of the throat, right? It's going to feel like your throat is closing a little bit, like you can't breathe. Some people are going to feel the tension in the back of the neck or the sides of the neck. Some might feel it down into the back, into the shoulders. You might feel it in your head, right? So you actually have a muscle that comes up around your head. So the next time you tuck your chin in toward that little notch, I'm going to ask you to hold here and really tuck. Now if it gets super uncomfortable, especially for folks for whom that feeling that the throat is closing, if that gets super uncomfortable, just kind of relax out of that. So I don't want you to feel like panicky about that. Breathing in, breathing out. And then relax and come back to a neutral position. So just notice as you release that. If you had that closed feeling in your throat, it might feel like it can open up now and you can breathe a little better. If you had tightness in the back of your neck, your shoulders, your upper back, you might be more aware of something happening there. So now turn your head to the right as far as it'll go. Don't turn in your seat, don't turn your shoulders or your chest. We're just turning the head from the neck. Breathing in and breathing out. And at some point slowly come back through center, and we're going to go to the other side. So we're just turning. So continue to turn and breathe very slowly from right to left, noticing that there's that in between, there's that forward movement. And as you're doing this, notice, can you turn more in one direction than the other? Now, some of us have a really distinct difference, right? Especially if you have neck or shoulder pain, you might be really restricted going in one direction and not so much in the other. Some people have what feels like a fairly symmetrical kind of movement here. And the next time that your head is turned to the right, I'm going to ask you to hold there. If you're still on the left, take your time, we'll catch up. So with your head turned to the right, keep the head turned to the right and begin to lift your chin up and then lower it down. It's like you're saying yes. It's like you're looking at the person beside you and you're just nodding yes to them. So real slow. And as you do this, I'm just going to ask you to notice what you feel in the muscles in the left side of your neck, in the back of your neck, and in the right side of your neck. And are you able to breathe smoothly and evenly? And then coming back to center with the head, pause for a moment right here at center and just notice, what does the left side and the right side feel like? And then turn your head to the left. So again, just your head, not your shoulders. And with the head held over there to that left side, we're going to lift and lower the chin. And so it's like you're looking at the person on your left and you're just giving them a nod, yes and no. Now this may be a really big movement for some people. It may be a very tiny movement for some people. Just notice, is this different than the other side? Does lifting the chin create more sensation? Does lowering the chin create more sensation? Good. And then come back to center with that. So pausing here for a moment. Again, just noticing left side, right side, noticing the chest and the upper back, the head. And then we'll take the right ear to the right shoulder. So it's kind of like the ear is getting as close to the shoulder as it can, but the shoulder is not coming up to the ear. So the shoulder is just hanging out, but the ear is going down there as far as it can. And now keeping your ear on your shoulder, we're going to try a no movement. So turn the nose down toward the floor and then up toward the ceiling. Breathing in and breathing out. So it's like you're looking at the person in front of you with your head cocked to the side here, and you're saying no. So just this no movement. And again, just notice, and you go very slowly here. So we want to really feel. When you get your nose down toward the floor, go as far as you can. Get to the end of your range. And when you bring your nose up, same thing. Go as high up as you can. Get to the end of your range. Maybe even pause there for a moment. So do you have more range here than you thought you did? Do you have less? Is it noisy? Is it a noisy range? Is it a smooth range? Are there little hiccups along the way? Good. And then let's bring the head back to center. So just kind of pause here for a moment. And again, investigate right side, left side. Breathing in, breathing out. Take your left ear to your left shoulder. So again, over here, so try not to raise the shoulder toward the ear, just let the shoulder relax. The ear is moving toward the shoulder. And once again, it's like you're looking at the person in front of you and you're saying no. So drop the nose down and then raise the nose up. Breathing in, breathing out, investigating that end of range. So what do you notice about this side? Is it different than the other side? Do you have more range or less range than you thought? Does looking up feel better or does looking down feel better? Can you really explore those end ranges? So as you look up, can you pause there? Notice what that feels like. As you look down, can you pause there and notice what that feels like? Inhaling and exhaling, don't forget that part. Good, and then coming back up to center, let's bring the head up. Once again, close your eyes. Take a couple of breaths in and out and notice your neck and your shoulders. Notice your back, your arms, your hands. Notice if you've created any tension from doing these movements. Take a breath in, let it out with a sigh. And let your eyes gently open. Okay, so let's take the right arm now. I'm going to sweep it across the body to the left, and then we're going to sweep it around behind us. Try not to turn your body. Try to bring the arm way back as far as it'll go. Then turn your palm down and come all the way across the body again. So we're moving from the shoulder joint, right? Nice, good snap out there. Little bit of noise without pain is pretty normal. Okay, great. Couple more. Okay, and now let's get a little spinal movement in here. So when your arm comes to the left, twist your body to the left. And when your arm comes to the right, twist as far to the right as you can. You can even go all the way around behind you and keep going, right? So we're kind of doing this. This is the Vanna, right? This is what Vanna does. How long has Vanna been doing this? A long time. She still looks wonderful because she does this movement all the time, right? That's why. And she's breathing. That's right. That's right, Marion. You give it to her, right? That's it. Okay, one more time. We're going to go all the way behind. So when you get behind, stay here. Take your left hand, place it on the inside of your left knee. Give yourself just a little teeny bit of an assist here. So it's like you're trying to hand somebody behind you something. Breathe in, breathe out. Notice if it's a little harder to breathe in and breathe out as you're in this twisted position. And then slowly relax and come back to center. Let that arm rest. Good. We're going to take the left arm, do the same thing. So going over to the left, we're going to start just with the shoulder, right? So don't try not to move your body first. So we're just moving from the shoulder itself. So a lot going on in the shoulder. I say this a lot, but the shoulder joint, this whole complex, this is the most mobile joint in the body. It's the most complex joint in the body, and it is the least stable. So how you pick something up, how you move your body, your shoulder is particularly susceptible to doing mindless movements and creating a little injury. So when you're ready, let's get the whole body involved. So twist as you bring that arm around behind you, and twist as you bring the arm across. So when you're bringing the arm behind, have your palm up. It's like you're trying to hand somebody something, right? So you're trying to hand them something. Breathing in, breathing out. Good. And notice where you're getting the most rotation in your body. Excellent. And then the next time that your arm is behind, so we're all kind of reaching behind, hold here. So we're trying to give something to the person behind us. Take your right hand to the inside of your right knee and press into your knee just a little bit, giving yourself a little bit of an assist. Breathe in, breathe out. And notice if it's easier or harder to breathe when you're twisted in this position. And then come back to center. Let your hands rest here. Take a breath in, let it out with a sigh. Ah. All right, I just have a question. So how many of you found it easier to breathe when you were twisting to your right? How many found it easier to breathe when you were twisting to your left? Isn't that interesting, right? So we've never, ever run a class where everybody says the same thing to that question. It's always a little bit different. So a lot of that has to do with how you move in the world. What parts of your body are tight or tense? What parts of your body you use more that you know, if you reach a certain way all the time, right? You're going to have more flexibility, more range in that direction. You try and do the same thing on the other side, you're going to get maybe not so much there. Okay, so let's kind of move things down a little bit in the body. So we did a lot for the neck and shoulders. Now we're going to work on that upper back. We did a little bit of stretching for the upper back here. We're going to kind of bring that down a little bit. So let's take the hands on the lap. We're going to bring the shoulders up to the ears, right? Pull your belly in strongly toward your spine and then really round through your spine. It's like you're trying to bring your nose down to your navel. And then come forward, arch your back, draw the shoulder blades together, chest comes forward. So that's the whole movement. So rounding through the spine, really rounding from the tailbone all the way up, and then extending through the spine. And let's start to add a little bit of breath with this as we go. So with the hands on the lap, that's just giving some support to the body. As you come forward, as you arch your back, breathe in. As you round through your back, breathe out. So this is a natural way for the body to breathe, because when you're expanded in the front of the body, it's easier for the lungs to fill. It's easier for the diaphragm to move down. And so breathing in makes more sense to the body. When you're rounding, you're shorter in the front of your body, so your lungs have less space. Your diaphragm, the front part of your diaphragm, doesn't have the ability to move down very much. So let's try really taking some deep breaths in and out. When you get to the end of your range, whatever that is, give it a little extra squeeze, right? So when you extend and you're arching your back, squeeze those shoulder blades really tight. And when you're rounding through your back, see if you could almost bring your nose right down to your navel. How about one more time each way? So this is flexion and extension of your spine, right? Good. And then coming back to a neutral position. Excellent. Okay, so scoot over a little bit to the right side of your chair. Just a little bit. You can hold on to the left side, and we're just going to take the right leg and let it come out and in. So you want to have enough space between your right foot and your left foot that you can let this knee come out and in, or in and out. And you want to be on the edge of your chair so that like your whole right thigh is kind of off the chair. Does that make sense? Because if your thigh is on the chair, you're not going to get that kind of rotation. We're trying to get the movement into the hip joint itself. Now your hip joint, contrasting that with your shoulder joint, your hip joint is less mobile than the shoulder, but it's way more stable. That's why we walk on our legs, not on our hands. Because the joint up here, the little socket part is like that, right? The joint down here in the hip, it's a little more like that. The leg bone goes right up into that. Out here, the shoulder, you need more mobility, so it's a shallower socket. And in order to keep your arm from falling off, you need to have a lot of muscles there. So there's a lot of tendons in the shoulder that connect the arm bone to the clavicle, to the scapula, to the rib cage. Good. Next time your knee is out to the side, hold here. So come right out on the outer edge of your foot. Come right out on the outer edge of your foot. And really pull that knee behind you if you can. And then come back. And really pull the knee in and see if you can get up on the inside edge of your foot, so the big toe side of your foot. Really pull that knee in. Breathe in, breathe out, and then go to the outer edge. And we're going to hold here, pull. And then come forward, and again, pull. Breathing in and out. One more time to the outside of the foot. And then to the inside of the foot. Good. And then come back to a neutral position. Okay, so sitting up nice and tall, we're going to take this foot and we're going to lift it up, bring it over and back to close to the other foot. And I'm going to scoot a little more on my chair so I don't fall off. You might do the same. So we're going to go up and over a couple of times. So lift that foot up, bring it out to the side, over and down. Now, if you're leaning to the side to accomplish this, you need to bring your body upright. Use your hand for a little support because we're trying to build some strength in that hip joint. So leaning to the side is giving you leverage. Instead of using the muscles in the hip and the leg, you're using the muscles in the spine, and you're kind of offsetting that with your body. So the next time you have your leg in toward the other foot, or I'm sorry, when you have your feet together, that's a better way to say it. We're going to stay here and scoot over to the other side of the chair. So again, come to the edge of the chair so that the left leg, the left thigh, back of the thigh is off the chair. Bring your feet wide enough apart now that you can let the knees, the left knee go in without banging into the right knee. Right? So we're just kind of exploring. So if you've had a hip replacement or a knee replacement, you might notice that the range is a little different on that side that has the parts, the replaced parts, right? So you might have, well, that's interesting. So you might have less movement if you've had a hip replacement, or you might have more movement if you've had a hip replacement. Because if your other hip is arthritic and you have a limited range of movement there, your new hip is going to be more mobile than the old hip, right? So it really depends. So just kind of notice. And the next time that you have your knee out to the side, go out on the little toe side of your foot. See if you can lift up on that little toe side of the foot. Breathe in, breathe out. So we're turning the sole of the foot up. There we go. And then we're going to come forward now and roll in, pull that knee in and come onto the big toe side of your foot. So it's you're trying to get the sole of your foot off the ground, right? On whatever side. And then let's go back out. So notice that. And come back in. And I didn't say this before, but hips can be a little noisy too. They're clunky, right? So shoulders are clicky and hips are clunky because they're bigger, right? You got bigger bones in there. Good. I did say one more, and now we're doing two, so I guess one for good luck. Okay, and then come back to sort of that neutral position and just kind of notice. So scoot over just a little bit so that you don't fall off the chair, and we're going to do that lifting up and over thing. So once again, lift the leg up, bring it over and down. If you need to like reposition yourself so you're just right, do that. So yeah, so keep going, just up, over, and down. The slower you go, the harder it is, but the more you're working the muscles of your hip and your leg, right? And this can be really challenging. And if you've had surgery, if you've had physical therapy for your hip or your knee, this is one of the things they have you do is lift up and over. They want to make sure that there's strength here in that hip joint. Okay. And the next time that your feet are together, we're going to hold it there for a moment. And then you can scoot to the center of your chair. Good. Okay. Let's take the right leg and cross it on top of the left. Okay. So look down and have your left foot directly under your knees. Okay. And then notice where your right leg is. Like notice where the foot is. Is the foot facing forward? Is it angled out to the side? Is the foot lifted up in the air, or is it down closer to the floor? What do you feel in your knee? Your right knee, that is. What do you feel in your right hip? And the right leg in general. Okay, so now what we're going to do is squeeze the inner thighs together. And as you do, see if you can bring the outside edge, the little toe side of your right foot, closer to the outside edge of your left lower leg. So that would be the outside of your lower leg, right? And then relax that. So by squeezing those inner thigh muscles and pulling that outside edge of the foot down, we're engaging lots of different things. Notice what's happening in your knee. Now, if this is really challenging to do, you can always cross at the ankle and simply squeeze the knees together, right? So we're squeezing the inner thigh muscles. Now, as you're doing this, you might not have noticed this, but as you're doing this, can you engage your glutes and sit up a little taller? And then relax, but keep the length in your spine. So we're squeezing the inner thighs, squeezing the glutes, sitting up tall, relaxing all those muscles, but keeping the spine nice and long. And by the way, breathe. Yeah. Good. Couple more. Okay, last time we're going to squeeze and hold. And really squeeze everything. So from your feet all the way to your hips, squeeze everything you got there. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. That doesn't mean stop breathing. Keep breathing. Good. And relax. All right, unwind. Just take a moment and notice. What does that right side feel like? What does the left side feel like? And then we're going to take the left leg, cross it over the right. So again, if this is just not going to work for you, ankle on ankle is fine, right? So just start by noticing. First, can you get your right foot directly underneath your knees? That just gives you the right amount of support. And where is that left leg? Is there a big angle? Is the foot, in other words, is the foot facing that wall over there? Or is the foot facing more toward the floor? Are the toes dropped down? Or are they lifted up? Or are they straight, right? So this is with your leg relaxed. What does that feel like? Okay. So let's try again on this side. We're going to squeeze the inner thighs together. As you squeeze the inner thighs together, the outside edge of the left foot comes closer to the lower right leg. and then relax. Right? So we're squeezing and relaxing. And as you're doing this, engage everything. Glutes, right? So you sit up really tall. Yeah, forgot about that, right? And breathe. So the breath is smooth. And is it easier on this side, or is it a little more challenging on this side? And think about when you sit. Which leg do you prefer to cross on top of the other one? The next time that you squeeze, hold here and breathe. And squeeze everything from your foot all the way up to your hips. Squeeze everything you've got here. So you're really squeezing, but you're not holding your breath. You're breathing in and out. So we're doing two diametrically opposed things. We are engaging, squeezing, squeezing, squeezing all the muscles, and we're saying to the body, oh, but it's okay because we're able to breathe. Right? So I can hold this tension and I can hold this non-tension. And then relax everything. Oh. Uncross your legs. Close your eyes for a moment. Breathing in and out. Notice your hips, your back, your legs. And notice your knees, your thighs. Breath in, let it out with a sigh. And let your eyes gently open. All right. So a little work for the knees. So we're working our way down. So let's take that right leg, extend and bend. So nice and easy. You can tap, if you'd like. Tap the toe and tap the heel. You can keep it raised. You can give a little support by having your hands right here on the chair near your hip. I like to do this just because it keeps me in integrity. I always think I'm sitting straight until I do this and I say, oh, I could be a little straighter here. So notice how your knee's working this morning. Is it a happy knee? Moderately happy knee? Unhappy knee? All right, let's bring that foot to the floor. We'll go right to the other side. So slow, slow. So we're not working with momentum. We're working with the muscles here. So the slower you go, the more you're going to get out of this. It's harder, for sure. Again, if your leg is just saying, nope, not today, you can tap the heel, tap the toes. Couple more. Breathing in, breathing out. Did I mention that or did I fail to mention that? I failed to mention that, didn't I? Yeah. Okay. And then bring that foot back down to the floor. Let's take the right leg, slide it back, have your toes tucked under so you're extending your toes, right? So it's kind of like that on the floor. It's like you're trying to get those toes bent. Can you get your toes like to 90 degrees? Nobody laughed, so you're all doing it then, right? Yeah, good. Breathing in, breathing out. Press down into the bottoms of your toes as if you were going to stand. Right? Can you feel that pressure? Can you feel it come up into your leg? Your thigh, your knee, maybe even into your hip. Hopefully not your jaw. Relax that. And then relax all that pushing. And again, push down. Push, push, push. Breathe in, breathe out. So no hold. When you hold your breath, when you're exerting yourself and you hold your breath, you're increasing your blood pressure, you're increasing your heart rate, and you're increasing that fight or flight energy in your body. When you're doing an activity like this and you're breathing smoothly, you're actually able to do it with lower blood pressure, lower heart rate, and less anxiety. So breath is the key to all of this. And then relax that. Good. Let's extend that out. Take your toes and squeeze and extend. Ooh, feel the blood coming back? Yeah? Feel a little tingling or warmth? Good. Put that foot down on the floor. We're going to take the other foot, slide it back. Same thing. So get the toes extended there. Now, if you've got a toe that crosses over, I didn't mention this on the other side, but if you've got a toe that crosses over or a little toe that's reluctant to get down on the floor, see if you can wiggle your foot in a position where the toes actually, all of them, have their own little spot on the floor. And once you're there, press down into your toes as if you were going to stand up. and relax. And breathe and press down and feel that come up into your leg, your knee, your thigh, maybe even up into your hip. Breathing in and breathing out. Your upper body is relaxed through all of this though, right? So shoulders are relaxed, jaw is relaxed, face. We hold so much tension in our faces, right? You ever see people, they're like they need glasses all the time. And they're wearing the glasses. Good. Okay, so press down. Really press, press, press. Hold there. So this is a lot like the squeezing of the hands, right? So we're cutting off some blood flow down there. We're reducing all that good, juicy exchange of fluid between the cells. We're asking it to just kind of hang in there with us, breathing in and breathing out, because then we're going to release this. One more breath. Release that. And then extend and squeeze and release the toes. So we get a nice flush now of blood and fluids in and out of the cells. Okay, then bring that foot back down to the floor. Okay, so we're going to find the triangles in the bottoms of the feet. So if you're in your socks, that's fine. If you're in your shoes and you want to slip them off, this might be a good time. So the triangles, if we go from the little toe ball mound right out here, the big toe ball mound right here, and then the center of the heel, right? So picture that little triangle. So you got triangles on both feet. So I'm going to ask you to press down into your triangles. Press down into your triangles. Okay. So just notice what that feels like. Are you pressing more into the heel part of the triangle? Into the big toe part of the triangle? To the little toe part of the triangle? Can you make it even? And that's kind of hard to do, right? Yeah, it's not easy to do because we're not used to exerting that kind of pressure and that kind of intention in that way. So now relax everything so that all parts of the triangle are on the floor. We're going to keep all parts of the triangle on the floor and raise just your big toes. And then lower them down. And again, just raising the big toes and lowering them down. Now, if it helps to look at your feet, go ahead and do that. And breathe. So it's just the big toes, right? All the little toes staying down? Kinda. Okay. All right, now keep your big toes down. Keep your triangles in contact with the floor and raise all your little toes. And then down. So we'll do that a few times. So remember, you don't want to come onto the inside edges of your feet because you want the triangles, right? So the heels, the outer edges of the ball mound of the little toe foot. Wow, that was word salad. That was all the right words in the wrong order. Okay. Oh, good. Thank you for that. It happens, right? Oh, a lot, I know. Okay, so lower that down. Okay, so you got that sense that you can move your little toes a little independently of your big toes? Everybody's going, nope. Okay, so we'll just pretend. So the next time, we're going to raise just the big toes. And now instead of just lifting and lowering the big toes, what I'm going to have you do, I'll show you with my hands. So we're going to lift the big toes, so that I'm going to use my thumbs, right? We're going to lift the big toes and bring the big toes away from the other toes and then lower down. So lift all your big toes, bring them away from the other toes, and then lower them down. Oh, not so easy, huh? Okay. Is your brain like trying to figure out what the heck that looks like? Yeah, because you've probably never done that before, right? Okay, so let's try that again. So breathing in and breathing out, that's the most important thing. You can look down at the feet. That might be helpful. Lift just your big toes. Bring them away from the other toes. So you're bringing them toward each other and then lowering them down. They don't want to do that. They really like their family. No, they like their family, right? Let's try that one more time. Raise the big toes. Just the big toes now, not all those little toes. I see a lot of little toes up. Bring them back down. Bring the big toes toward one another. And then down. Right. Who said that? Yes, right? Your fingers, they're trying to instruct your feet what to do, right? Because you can do that, right? Take your thumb, take your hands like this. Lift your thumbs up. Bring them toward each other. Easy, right? So the thumbs are saying, like this, just like this. All right, let's try that one more time, because practice makes perfect. This time you're going to nail it. I just know it. So look down at the feet. Give them a dirty look. Right? Like you better do it this time because she's watching. Lift your toes, big toes only. Bring them away from the other toes toward one another and then lower them down. Ah. Relax. Any more success that last time? No. Okay. We're going to work on that. We're going to work on that. We work the toes a lot because the toe, especially your big toe, is so important for balance, for moving forward. The ability of your toes to work independently is critical for balance, for your sensation, right? So if I have very little sensation in my foot and I put it down on the floor, I don't know if that floor is hot or cold. I don't know if it's smooth or rough. And most importantly, I don't know if it's slippery or not. I can't tell if it's slippery. If I have increased sensation in the bottom of my foot, I'm going to get that feedback right away. I'm going to get that feedback. So one of the ways to do this is to do these movements. And those of you who've been coming to class for a long time, you know that we do these silly movements with the toes all the time. And I encourage you to do it when you're watching TV, when you're sitting at your table. You know, anytime you can kind of slip your shoe off and do some of these movements is really important. So one more little movement we're going to do here. We're going to look down at those feet again. Think about your triangles, right? So the heel, the big toe ball mound, the little toe ball mound, we're going to keep those on the floor. We're going to raise all the toes up and spread them really wide. Now, if you have your socks on, you're pressing into your socks, so that's okay. See if you can spread into your socks. If you're feeling restricted by your socks are too small for your feet. So you need to do something about getting bigger socks. Now, keeping the toes lifted, we're going to press just the big toes down and then lift them back up. Right? So the little toes stay lifted, but you're pressing the big toes down and then you're lifting them back up. And keep watching. Keep breathing. Okay. And then relax that. How was that? Easier? Was it easier than raising the big toes? How many? Was it harder than raising the big toes? Isn't that interesting, right? So we never get unanimous consent. All right, so lift all your toes. Spread them out again. Big toes down. Last toes down, but middle toes up. And relax that. Let's try that again. I know you got this. Try it without holding your breath this time. Lift all your toes, spread them out nice and wide. Big toes down, last toes down, but the middle toes are raised up. Hands instruct your feet, right? Like this. Show them how. And then relax all that. Okay. Quick question. Anybody finding that easier if you're doing that on a regular basis? Is anybody finding that easier? Yeah, a couple people. Good. Yeah, keep at it. Keep at it. One of the other things you can do to facilitate more toe independence is be barefoot as much as you can. If you can't be barefoot, look at your shoes. Do your shoes come to a point? Now, I know a lot of us wear athletic shoes, walking shoes or running shoes. Unfortunately, a lot of those shoes have a narrow toe box. So look at that. And the shape of your foot If you really look at your foot, your toes are wider than your heel. So it's kind of weird that we have shoes that taper and get narrower in the front because that's pushing the toes in. So if you have one toe that crosses over or you have a couple toes that cross over, it's probably because they've been in those narrower shoes for a little bit too long. Okay. So get yourself comfortable. We're going to have just a moment here to do a little bit of breathing. Close your eyes. So if you want to sit back into your chair for support, you can do that. If you want to stay right where you are, you can do that. Once you close your eyes, I'll know we're ready. And I'll just ask you to go back to your breathing. Notice the way air is moving in and out of your body. Is your breath fast or slow? Is it shallow or deep? Can you feel the temperature of the air as you breathe in and breathe out? And as you're watching your breath, notice what you're aware of in your physical body. So the movements that you did this morning, the movements to explore tension and ease in the neck and shoulders, the arms and hands. The movement forward and back in the spine. And the rotation that we explored and enjoyed in the hips. That flexion and extension in your knees. And all the amazing movement that's available to you in your toes. How has that left you feeling in your body right now? Every time we move, every time we engage our bodies in some way in the physical world, there's a benefit to that. Can you feel where your body expands and contracts as you breathe in and out? Where you feel ease? Where you feel more alive? Take in a nice deep breath and let it out with a sigh. Take your hands together for a moment. Just take a little moment of gratitude. Gratitude for this amazing body, for the ability of your body to move in whatever way that it can. And then if you'd like, maybe just kind of opening your eyes and just acknowledging the community that we're in here together, which is amazing. Yeah. So thank you all for coming today. Enjoy this rest of your day, and I will see you next week. All right.